Oh, so it's like that. It's like that. James Harden is a sighting. I mean, my God, missing in action. We were wondering where he was. Well, he was found last night. So what does that mean for the Sixers, JJ? Don't answer. Not yet. Okay? We got a lot of stuff to talk about. CP3, I'm telling you, it's one thing to be 37. It's another thing to suddenly look 37 after you've been looking 27 for the last few months. I don't know what the hell happened. But we'll talk about all that and then some. There's a new MVP in the NBA as well. And by the way, it ain't J.J. Redick. I know y'all want to say it's J.J. Redick. This is First Take, damn it. You hear me, J.J.?
I hear you. I hear you. Let's
sure.
do it. Yes, I hear you.
Okay. Your boy knows what he's talking about. First Take's in the house. Let's go.
Good morning, everybody. Breaking news. This just in from our Adrian Wojnarowski. Denver Nuggets center, Stephen A. alluded to it. Nikola Jokic has been voted the NBA's most valuable player for a second consecutive season. Sources telling ESPN a formal announcement expected this week. Gentlemen, good to see you. Stephen A., JJ, hi.
Wonderful week in Tigers. Wonderful week in Tigers. All right, it's good to see you.
This guy.
Good to see you.
It's hard to get dressed every day. Do you agree with the Joker winning MVP? Because you had a vote.
Well, here's the hard part. No, I don't disagree. I don't know. Well, yes, I disagree with it.
Okay.
Because I voted for Embiid. But I have no problem with Jokic being it. I mean, what the brother averaged? I got it right here, Jay. 27, 13, and 8 without Jamal Murray, without Michael Porter Jr., knowing that you're the reigning league MVP and everybody's game planning for you on a night-in, night-out basis. I voted for Embiid. Mm-hmm. I thought the level of adversity that Jokic went through without having those two players, as significant as that was, is an entirely different animal with the nonsense that Joel Embiid was subjected to because of the whole drama that involved Ben Simmons. Yet, he held it down. He did what he did. James Harden arrived. He still did what he did. And I think that when you've seen the greatness from a Joel Embiid the way that we have this year, I was just of the mindset that he deserved the league MVP. But I can't sneeze at Jokic because it was a nip-and-tuck race. It was very close, JJ. I really, really can't have a problem with that.
I'm just glad that this has been announced and it's over and we can stop debating this. Because this season has been probably one of the best MVP races that I can remember, at least over the course of my career in this generation of basketball. Mm-hmm. And really, I think there's three guys, Giannis, Joel, Jokic. Any one of those guys would be deserving winners this year.
Right.
And I also don't fault people if they wanted to vote and say Devin Booker was the MVP.
I was raving about him too.
Best player on the best team, held it down when CP was out with the hand injury. In terms of Jokic, though, his impact, you mentioned the stat line, no one's ever put up a stat line like that before. And when you look at his impact on that team, his on-off rating, it's insane what he was able to do this year and get that team to the playoffs.
I'm curious if this is going to fire up Embiid even more.
Yeah, it could be. But in fairness, let's say this about Embiid. And again, I voted for Embiid. Mm-hmm. Let's say this about Embiid. In the midst of an MVP race that everybody and their mother knew was so tight, Giannis came to Philly and beat you. Jokic came to Philly and beat you. And even though Durant and Kyrie weren't a part of the equation, with all the noise emanating out of the whole James Harden trade from Brooklyn to Philadelphia, they came to Philly and annihilated you. And so when you look at it from that perspective, the fact that the race was so close, even though it wasn't his fault, because he played well in all of those games. Yeah. Well, not the Brooklyn game, but against Milwaukee, against Denver. The bottom line is those are the kind of moments that can cost you a trophy like the MVP.
You know who didn't come to Philly and beat him, masked up in the playoffs? That'd be the Miami Heat. Let's go. We have a series, folks. That was the theme of Sunday, evening it up. Joel Embiid bringing new life to Philly. Back for his second game and second win. The Heat and Sixers now tied at 2 apiece, and much of that due to a vintage James Harden performance. Harden hot, putting up 31 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds that ultimately led to the victory. James, what do you attribute the turnaround to?
We're getting more confident, as the series goes on. Like those first 2 games was a blur. But obviously having Joe and having our full team, we kind of know what to expect. We know where to execute on both ends of the ball. It just makes the job a lot easier. Think about it, we're still a fairly new team. We're down to 2 months in. So You know, when we finally catch a rhythm and finally find something that works, you know, Joe goes out for a couple games. So we're finally settling into the series, and we found some great things that'll work tonight and that we can, you know, capitalize on for Game 5.
Had some great basketball this weekend. Important to mention, folks, Kyle Lowry re-injured his left hamstring. His status unknown for Game 5 in Miami. Stephen A.
Yeah.
Vintage Harden, finally. Is your boy back?
No, I'm not going to go that far, not yet. In the playoffs, he's shooting, in this series specifically, he's shooting 40% from the field and 34% from three-point range, and that was improved based off of last night's performance. One game does not make a series, and one game does not make an individual. I will tell you it was great to see it, because when you saw it, the first thing that came to your mind is, oh, so he is still capable of this. He can still do this, because we need to see more of it. We didn't see the separation. We saw some of it last night. We didn't see his ability to make contested three-point shots. We saw that last night. We saw him get into the hole, but more importantly, we saw him being aggressive. He was looking to make things happen. I will remind everybody that since he arrived in Philadelphia, he has not attempted 20 shots in any game as a Philadelphia 76er. That's not something that you expect from a guy that's a 3-time, 4-time league scoring champion, as prolific of an offensive powerhouse as he is. So the fact that we saw that last night, I thought was a big, big deal. But I'm not going to go so far as to say he's back. Let me see you do it in Game 5 at Miami. Let me see you do it back in Game 6 in Philadelphia. Let me see you do it if there is a Game 7.
Okay.
That is when I will make that determination.
JJ, what did that all mean to you?
Stephen A., this is a big moment for you. I just want to acknowledge it.
Okay.
Because I have accused you at times of being a prisoner of the moment. And to see this growth from you, I'm very appreciative of it. No, I think Stephen A. nailed it here. Look, he had 15 straight games where he hadn't had 25 or more. This is only his second 30-point game in a Sixers uniform. I talked about this with Ryan Rucco on the broadcast Friday.
Right.
So much of what's missing has been that step-back three. He's still struggled in Game 4 from 2, but the 4 step-back threes, that's what we haven't seen in so long from James. I don't think James has to be vintage James for Philly to win this series, though. I don't think he has to score 30 points or take 20 shots because of all the other options they have. Tyrese Maxey, 22 points a game on 50, 40, 90. Tobias is your fourth option, is averaging basically 18 and 8, 50% from the field, 37% from three. He's been solid all playoffs. So I don't necessarily think James has to do this every game for them to advance.
I agree with that.
It was a welcome sight, though, because we've talked about this now for the past few weeks. Like, when are we going to get one of these vintage James Harden?
We needed to see the aggression, though. We needed to see a dude that wants the ball. Now, he only attempted 18 shots. He didn't attempt, it wasn't like he attempted 25 shots or anything like that, but he hit shots when he counted. And it was with no hesitation. And let's give our man Kenny Smith on TNT props when he said last night, if you're talking about James Harden, 4 seconds are left. I believe that's what he said. Don't think about anything. Attack or dish, That's what you should be doing. And let's also take a moment to give some love to Tobias Harris in this regard. Tobias Harris was a second offensive option when the season started because Ben Simmons wasn't there and Tyrese Maxey hadn't elevated to this point. Y'all do understand that that Tobias Harris can average 20 anytime he wants to. You do understand that. Let's understand. We get lost in the sauce about him a little bit sometimes. The brother's a legit 6'7", 6'8". He's got a perimeter game. He can finish at the basket. He's got an athletic body. He's got an NBA body. He's strong enough to do these things. The guy went from a second option, not to a third, but to a fourth option. And yet he came in to last night, I believe, was he averaging like 24 a game in this series or whatever, better than 50% shooting. Let's give Tobias Harris some love too, and you're absolutely right. If Tobias Harris and Tyrese Maxey do what they're capable and what we've seen them do thus far this series, here's where James becomes pivotal. He doesn't have to shoot 25 shots, but he has to be aggressive.
Hold on, this is what I want to know, though. Are you guys now more confident in Philly or Miami?
Let's say what you're going to say.
Well, I just wanted to piggyback on one other James thing, and that's just his response in that press conference where he says, what's been different, and He says, well, we're gaining more confidence as the series goes on. What's been different?
Right.
They have Joel Embiid in the lineup.
Yeah.
That's right.
They didn't have him game 1 and game 2.
That's right.
We saw the value of Joel in game 3. Didn't have a great night shooting the basketball.
Doesn't matter.
Defensively
His
was
presence.
great.
Yep.
His presence opens up everything.
Right.
And so much of this shooting swing that we saw from game 1, game 2 Philly to how well they shot in game 3, game 4 is because he was on the floor.
Got you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But now let's get to if the series is shifting, right? Because we felt like people were making their I'm not going to name names, making reservations in Miami.
It was me.
Things like
I already got my reservation.
Things like that are happening.
Okay. Right.
So it's all tied up now.
But let me say this.
Who do you have more confidence in?
I still believe in Miami for this series. And let me say this. I got a few text messages last night from the Sixers organization ribbing me because I got a lot of people in there I love. I worked there for 17 years, for crying out loud. I know a lot of people within that organization. They're like, Heat and 5 my ass. That's what they said to me last night via text because I predicted. I said no. I predicted the Heat in 5 if Embiid didn't play. If Embiid did play,
caveats.
I got him in 7. I still got them winning the series, but I will tell you this. It's become very, very interesting, and here's why. I didn't expect to see what I saw from James Harden last night. He's switching now, but I know Philly can win this series now if that James Harden shows up for the rest of the series because I believe in Maxey and I believe in Tobias Harris. I think they're going to do their job, and Joel Embiid is just a superstar, and I think he's going to elevate his level of attitude now that he didn't get the league MVP award. I got a question for you though, because you covered. I think which game did you call? You called game 3,
called
right?
game 3.
You called game 3. What the hell is going on? Why is Duncan Robinson not playing for
Oh, I was going to bring this up.
Because I need you to bring. I'm like, the dude getting paid $90 million now. I mean, and listen, Pat Riley and Mickey Harrison and these brothers didn't elect to pay him, and Andy Ellsberg and those boys didn't elect to pay him to be sitting on the bench. The dude ain't playing at all. And I understand he could be a defensive liability, and he ain't the greatest ball handler in the world. But when you have a sniper like him, the guy that's capable of dropping 8 or 9 threes in a playoff game the way he did in the first round, how he's not playing now, I was asking you, is he injured? Is something going on? I don't understand how you can't. If you're the great Eric Spoelstra, who I believe to be a great coach, how is this dude not playing at all?
So a couple things to that. First of all, prior to this weekend, game 3 and 4 in Philly, the Heat were 20-3 with Max Strus in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
The other thing that happened during that period of time with Strus in the starting lineup is Victor Oladipo came back.
Okay.
And he's given them some really good minutes.
He
they
has.
probably trust him more as a playmaker and defensively. So I think both of those things are why Duncan is not playing. When we talk about this series, look, there's a number of things you can point to. You can talk about him being back in the lineup. You can talk about vintage Harden. You can talk about Jimmy Butler probably being the best player in this series and all that. But this series really is a swing series based on who's shooting threes.
Yeah.
Who's shooting threes. And you look at what Philly did at home, 32 of 66 from 3 in game 3 and 4, 14 of 64 in game 1 and 2 in Miami. Miami was 14 of 65 from 3 in Philly. So going forward, whether it's another 2 games or another 3 games, whoever makes the most threes probably has the best chance to
Okay,
win.
I think Philly's winning it.
I'm gonna get to my pick in a second.
That's what I want.
The other thing I wanted to just point out, and it's a weird development. Joel Embiid, I talk about him all the time.
Okay.
Just his defensive presence and how valuable that is, and him on the basketball court. You basically have the equivalent of a league best defense almost every year.
Okay.
We saw in the first round against Toronto them target him one-on-one as the primary defender. And we saw that again last night. Miami was 12 of 18 with him as the primary defender. Second half, because Miami went small, Joel ended up guarding Jimmy Butler a lot in the half court.
That's
Jimmy
right.
was
Jimmy
5
Butler
for
was,
6.
abusing him.
Oh, abusing him. 5 for 6.
Right.
So that's another thing to watch, I think, throughout the rest of the series is them attacking, not necessarily when he's in that drop coverage, because he's so good there, but as the primary defender. The other thing, Stephen, have you noticed for 2 teams, like a Doc Rivers team with good defenders, a Miami team with good defenders, there's been so much zone in this series.
Well, here's the reason why. Let me tell you this. First of all, again, part of it is you want to dare dudes to shoot. That's number one. But number two, and more importantly, you're trying to protect certain people. Like in the case of Joel Embiid, let's understand something. Here's why you attack a Joel Embiid right now, for two reasons. First of all, he's got the thumb injury. Yeah. Okay, so he's going to be reluctant to really use that. Number two, you said, I don't give a damn what anybody says. Okay, you can wear a mask all you want to. You're going to be sensitive to that eye.
Yeah.
So you got two things that you're sensitive to, right? And so their mentality is attack him. Either he's going to be passive, or he's going to be ultra aggressive and he might get himself in foul trouble so we can get him out of the game and negate their chances. So I think they're thinking along those lines. To get back to your point about Oladipo and Struss, I totally understand that thinking, because it's really good to see Oladipo back, because people forget what an all-star caliber player this brother was. So it's really good to see him back, but you still got to find time for a sniper. You got a time. They shot, what was it, 7 for 35 from three-point range yesterday? You can't have that. Yeah. If you're the Miami Heat, you've got to be able to be a formidable threat from the perimeter. If you can't pull that off, you're not going to win this series.
100%. And I want to get to my pick in the series right now. Look, I've talked about the Miami Heat all season as being one of the most dangerous teams. I had them winning the series with or without Embiid when the playoffs started.
Right.
I'm going to change that pick.
Okay. Yeah! Okay. Now we're talking.
You're entitled. You're entitled.
After these last two games, and again, maybe I'm getting caught up.
Because I said Philly ahead of time, and I know Philly's going to win, and I like the confirmation.
But
and you're feeling bad about your pick right now. I know you're having a little anxiety.
The other thing Miami has to solve is like the non-Jimmy Butler minutes. He played most all of Game 3 and Game 4. I think there were 16 minutes he wasn't on the floor. They lost those minutes by 22 points.
Yes.
He's got for him, can he go 45, 46 minutes for 3 straight games, given the amount of playmaking
I will say this to you. I don't think he'll have to win one more game. I think he will need to win 2
more, yeah.
So what I'm saying to you is that you probably will do that in Game 5 to assure Game 5. You'll take your chances Game 6 to make sure he's ready for Game 7, if indeed it requires that he goes 48 minutes. The disappointment that I have is that we're the other dudes. Because, Jimmy, this ain't Miami has never been a team about one guy. You've been a team about a multitude of individuals. A Bam Adebayo, a Tyler Hero, the reigning 6th man of the year. Struss obviously can shoot. Gabe Vincent, he could do some things. And again, I'm going to bring up Duncan Robinson because I firmly believe in snipers. Snipers change the complexion of a game. They give you that extra added boost when you need it. And you need shooters out on the court against the Philadelphia 76ers when Embiid is out there. Without Embiid, no problem. But with Embiid, you need that stuff out there in order to knock it. I want to remind everybody, Miami wasn't out of this game. It was midway through the fourth quarter. They were still in the game. They were still within striking distance. They didn't get blown out now. So we got to take those things into consideration and understand they were still in a position to steal this. They didn't do it. I think this goes 7. I'm still going with Miami in a Game 7 down in South Beach.
In the words of Kendrick Perkins, I'm sorry for your loss. I won't do a J. Will and bet a suit or anything.
Molly, you're picking the Sixers?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Listen.
And if you want to go with records in the past, especially Super Bowls, you want to lean with me.
I will be ecstatic. I will be ecstatic for Embiid. I definitely would be ecstatic for my man Doc Rivers. And I'd be happy for James Harden as well. I'd be sad for myself because of my plans.
Oh my goodness.
In South Beach. I would not be happy.
Can I tell you a great secret? I think June 25th when the finals end, you can go out there for a month, rent a house, live your best life.
See, you're missing something about the importance of basketball. Like, for example, LA, the sunshine is beautiful, right? Mm-hmm. But it ain't the same when the Lakers are irrelevant. It's not the same. Chicago.
You're saying Miami's not the same when the Heat aren't
I'm telling you right now, it's a different flavor when Miami is playing. I'm not saying that you can't have a good time, but it's a different vibe in the air.
Flavor in Miami.
There's a different vibe in the air when the playoffs are going on in South Beach. Let me be very, very clear.
All right. I thought there was always flavor in Miami.
Yeah, I said more, Molly. I didn't say it was devoid of any. I said more. More matters.
Okay.
I never know where this show's going to go.
Yeah. And please never say more like that again. Let's get to another series that is now oh, my goodness. Where was not Chris Paul's night? CP, you practicing your Spanish? CP3 put up 5, 7 in 23 minutes before fouling out of Sunday's 111-101 loss to Dallas. Here's the point guard on the fouls.
I got to look back at it. I can't put myself in the situations to give them that ability to do that. You know what I mean? So I just got to look at myself and figure out how to be better.
If you had to pick one place the team has to adjust after these last 2 games, where would it be?
I don't know. I got to look at the film, figure it out. It was like a blur tonight.
The Suns will look to bounce back when the series shifts back to Phoenix on Tuesday, knotted at 2-2. JJ, I'll start with you. How much of these losses are on Chris Paul specifically?
A lot of them are, but basketball obviously is a team sport. You go to Game 3, the 7 turnovers, Game 4, and foul trouble the whole time. I had a real problem with his 5th foul. CP is one of the smartest basketball players I know. He knows all the rules. And that move where he ran in front of Jalen Brunson and then fell down, he has done that throughout his career. He'll get the ball after a rebound, he'll find a big, he'll run in front of the big and fall over and get the foul. The problem is they changed that rule, and now it's an offensive foul, and CP knows that. So in that moment, for him to make a decision like that, again, not to overkill the word befuddling, but it was befuddling, that moment. I actually would like to give Dallas some credit here. Because after Game 1 and 2, Jason Kidd talked about someone else joining the party with Luka Doncic.
That's right.
And we got a big Game 3.
Smith, yeah.
Jalen Brunson, 28 points in Game 3. Last night, Dorian Finney-Smith, 8 threes, 24 points, showing his value as a two-way player. But even the other role players, Reggie Bullock, Davis Bertans, Maxi Kleber, they all had big moments in Game 3 and Game 4. So as much as it is about CP's struggles, a little bit of Mikal Bridges' struggles, a little bit of Cam Payne's struggles, yeah, it's all that. But give Dallas some credit for those guys stepped up.
Well, let me break this down. Here's how you give Dallas credit. They got 5 dudes that are hitting threes. Bertans at, 53% from 3. You got Dinwiddie and Bullock at 40% from 3. Kleber at 44% from 3. Finney-Smith after yesterday at 48% shooting from three-point range. That's 5 dudes that shooting threes that's surrounding, Luka Doncic. And, of course, Jalen Brunson dropped 28 in Game 3. So Dallas deserves credit for stepping up and answering the call that Jason Kidd made to them. He deserves the credit. He deserves a whole boatload of credit for the way he's coaching. And Nico Harrison for the trade that got rid of Porzingis. And you got Bertans and Dinwiddie, and they're both making contributions, especially in Game 4. I like that. But let's be real about something. CP3 was awful. It's my brother. I love him dearly. We gonna call it like we see it because it's not gonna last. Okay, that will be corrected. But we gotta be honest, okay, and talk about, well, in Game 3, you had a career high in turnovers in the first half, okay? All right, 7 in the first half. That's Game 3. Game 4, you finished with more fouls than points. I mean, that's just pathetic. There's just no way to slice that. And we can say that about CP3 with a smile on our face, because it ain't gonna last. If there's ever a brother that's gonna look at it and when he says he's gonna look at film and he's gonna figure it out, he's gonna look at film, he's gonna figure it out. There's no reason to believe otherwise. And so you're talking about a situation where it's Monty Williams who defers a lot to CP3. CP3 knowing the mind that he has and the mind that Jason Kidd has. So you're basically having a point guard battle between a coach and a point guard on the floor. You're going to pay attention to all of that. But other cats on Phoenix have got to step up. And I'm going to call out Devin Booker here, even though he had 35 yesterday. In this regard, you're that dude. First team All-NBA, MVP candidate. There are moments where it has to be, give me the damn ball.
You don't think it was that yesterday?
And I think he tried. And I think to some degree. Listen, they got the ball. Don't get me wrong. There were times when they blitzed him a little bit, got the ball out of his hands. I'm just simply saying that when we see, because I think that Booker has that potential to be talked about as one of the all-time greats, the way we talk about some others. I think moments like that, you have to find a way to take the hell over and match bucket for bucket if you have to. It's not his fault. It's not a negative. I'm just saying that Devin Booker has that potential. And I think that, we're going to have to see that because, again, Dallas is no joke. They're no joke.
You don't think it was
Phoenix
more, though, that the fact they just couldn't get a stop and Dorian Finney-Smith just went crazy?
No, I agree. No, of course it is. Of course
to
I
me,
saw that. It's like Bertans hit 4 straight threes in the first half.
You look at like Mikal Bridges, CP, DeAndre Ayton. They were all fantastic against the Pelicans. In this series, across the board, their numbers are all down.
Right.
I didn't mention Devin Booker. To me, he's doing his job. And I just want to.
I didn't say he wasn't doing his job, though. I'm just talking about.
Okay. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Right.
But I think if Devin Booker says, I'm going to go into Kobe mode, they're still not winning that game yesterday.
Well, what I'm saying to you is this. They couldn't get a stop. But if you remember in game 2, CP3 goes crazy. I mean,
in the fourth. You're talking about in the fourth quarter.
Yes,
Yeah.
when he went berserk. He departs from after staring Dallas's bench down, looking at them, and just demoralized them because they couldn't stop him. And then Booker and Monty Williams are together and smiling and laughing. And then Booker comes in the game and hits 3 straight threes. They close the deal. What I'm trying to say to you, and you know this better than me, there are certain moments from a star caliber individual that can demoralize another franchise. It's like there's nothing we can do. And I'm saying to you that when you see Dallas coming at you that way, we saw them coming before Finney-Smith exploded. We saw them coming in the quarters before that. I'm saying there comes a moment in time where you got to sense. CP3's already in foul trouble with 4 fouls in the first half. You got to look at it and go like this. Give me the damn ball. We gonna cut this off right now before anything transpires. That's what I'm talking about.
I want to just say, too, I'll take some of the blame here for CP's horrible weekend because I had Tim Legler on the podcast, and one of the topics we talked about was, is this the best version of CP that we've ever seen? And then the dude turns 37 on Friday, and he looks 45. I mean, this is...
it's just a bad weekend.
It's a bad weekend. He had a bad
Mother's
weekend.
Day on top of the birthday. I mean, dang.
Phoenix is still winning this series.
Yes, I believe so as well. But Dallas is no joke. Dallas is no joke.
Speaking of Mother's Day, I want to talk about actually an incident involving his mother and his wife. So let's get to that off-the-court issue. So the Mavericks removed a fan after an incident with Chris Paul's family. Paul tweeting, after the Game 4 in Dallas, want to fine players for saying stuff to the fans, but the fans can put hands on our families. Bump that. Paul's mom, wife, and 2 children watched the game close to the Suns bench, and his mom had hands put on her, and his wife was pushed, a source telling our Dave McMenamin, adding that Paul's kids were there to witness it all. Dallas said in a statement that its unacceptable behavior will not be tolerated by the Mavericks, along with American Airlines Center swiftly removing the fan from the game. Stephen A.?
Well, let me say one thing off the bat.
Okay.
That tweet by Chris Paul was actually inaccurate. Who said they can put hands on their fans? The fan was removed from the arena immediately. The Dallas Mavericks quickly addressed the situation. Clearly, it's not allowed. And so the point is that, you know, when you make a statement like that with respect to the former president of the Players Association, who is universally respected, particularly his brilliance, his acumen, the fact of the matter is that there isn't a fan in today's NBA that can get away with doing something and they know it and they don't do something about it. We saw the great LeBron James, who never, ever did this in his career, literally walk over and pointed out a fan to security and had that fan removed. We saw somebody stupidly try to do something to Russell Westbrook, and they found out who that fan was, and they had him removed. We saw another fan do something in Utah as it pertained to Russell Westbrook, and that was addressed. And so let's be very, very clear. There are absolutely positively a few stupid, idiotic fans that look like a kid, and that's really no excuse. You're old enough to know better. His parents should slap him upside his head and get him to act right because he embarrassed their name by acting like a fool, all right? But he was removed from the game. But by and large, you have most fans who know better and act better. Now, in defense of the NBA players like Chris Paul and others, there are fans that get out of control. And I'm not talking, they never do anything physically because they know better, because you ain't gonna do things to these guys' face. You do it while you're in the stands and stuff like that because you know you're insulated and protected, at least from physical harm from these guys. But that's given them a license to do things that they shouldn't be doing. There are things that no player, no professional athlete should be subjected to. And I am an advocate, especially not in this particular case. Again, if he put his hands on somebody, arrest is behind. And the last part that I want to say is this, as it pertains to defense of Chris Paul, because people were looking at him at the press conference and he was talking to people he didn't seem focused or whatever. Let me tell y'all something. God rest her wonderful soul. If somebody ever had put their hands on my mother, there is no laws. I'll think about the law later. I'm going to look to do something to you. That's just not happening. And so when you talk about family members, your mother, your wife, your children, all of a sudden, all this other stuff is not, that takes second place. You got to deal with them. And if that kid had actually done something, you know what? I would have been a proponent of him getting his ass whipped right there at the arena. Because who you think you are touching somebody?
You remember when Antonio Davis went up in the stands? When
I didn't blame him.
Because somebody was messing with his wife?
I didn't blame him.
Yeah. You know, it really is unfortunate that this happened. And I agree with you. Look, there's a sentiment amongst a very small percentage of fans that because I paid a lot of money for my tickets and I'm sitting close to the court, I can say whatever I want and do whatever I want with no recourse. And by and large, there is recourse every single time. You know, whether Chris's tweet was accurate or not, you brought up a perfect point. Whether it was the press conference or this tweet, the emotions that he must have felt to hear and see someone messing with his mother, his wife, in front of his kids, there's just no place for it. There's just no place for it.
And go into protective mode. Yeah.
That's
exactly.
Right.
Right. Exactly. All logic,
Yeah.
all rationale goes out the window.
It goes out the window.
Yeah.
It goes out the window, especially when it comes to your family. And in particular, let's be real. Any decent man is going to feel that way, but especially when it comes to their mama.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to their mama.
Yeah.
On Mother's Day.
Yeah.
On Mother's Day.
And his
I mean,
wife,
come on.
Of course. All right, we'll leave it there, guys. Still to come here on First Take, Ja Morant unlikely to play in Game 4. When Ja Morant's knee injury. Jordan Poole grabbed Morant's right knee in the fourth quarter during a trap near half court in Golden State's 142-112 Game 3 win. Morant likely to miss Game 4 with a knee injury. Head coach Taylor Jenkins said on Sunday, Ja's officially listed as doubtful. Poole called his action a basketball play, and hopefully he gets better. And, you know, we can see him out there the next game. I don't even play like that for real. That's not my type of game. Memphis coach Taylor Jenkins said, there was a grab. I'm just curious what happened. And Ja tweeted, broke the code, in reference to Steve Kerr earlier this series, then deleted it. Here's Steph on that Poole play.
It's unfortunate that there's a conversation right now because obviously nobody wants to see anybody get hurt. But there's nothing malicious about what Jordan did. There's no comparison to what Dylan did or Draymond, like nothing in that vein. So it's not a joking matter. Ja's hurt, but all the rest of it is just total BS in terms of the conversation right now. So I remember that term they came up with, hot stove contact. That's what it felt like. Keep it moving.
JJ, do you agree with Poole not getting suspended here?
I do agree. And from my perspective, and again, I haven't spoken with Jordan, but I take him at his word. I take their team at their word. This, to me, was an unfortunate incidental play, but Jordan reaching in there for a loose ball was a basketball play. I think it's important to note as well, you know, Ja Morant had missed 9 games this spring with right knee soreness. There is another video of him hitting that right knee on Klay Thompson. So we don't know if, you know, that was necessary, that little yank. The other thing, the angle of the yank, I mean, I watched it in slow-mo a million times. Like, he's basically grabbing his shin bone, and it's a little tug. It's not, I don't know, I'm not a doctor, but I didn't see anything in this. And then unfortunately, of course, as Steph mentioned, nobody wants to see Ja get hurt. Certainly not me as a fan. I want to see the Grizzlies at full strength going against Steph and the Warriors.
Couple of things. Number one, it was not a dirty play. Number two, I hate when they slow-mo stuff sometimes because in real time, look at how quick that play happened. You trying to tell me that was Jordan Poole's intent? Come on, that's ridiculous. If you watch it in real time, it happened so fast, and he was reaching for the ball, and then ultimately, it looked like he grabbed at his knee a little bit, but that wasn't intentional. It was so quick. How do you know that? That's number two. Number three, let's call it what it is. There's some gamesmanship going on. Memphis is bitter because Steve Kerr brought up about, you know, breaking the code and stuff like that when Dylan Brooks clotheslined Gary Payton, got himself suspended. They They probably thought that he got ejected from the game and that's all that was going to happen. But then because Steve Kerr opened his mouth after game 1 and complained the way that he did, he got Dylan Brooks suspended for game 2. So let's see what we can do to try and get Jordan Poole suspended for game 4. That's probably what the thinking was when you look at the Memphis Grizzlies, because they don't like the fact that one of their players is down. So how do you feel? How would you feel if one of your players was down? This is the kind of stuff that happens. But this is the thing that bothers me that nobody has brought up. Ja Morant is a superstar. This brother is spectacular. He's special, okay? I think he's a bigger version of Allen Iverson. Reminds me of Russell Westbrook in his earlier days, even though Russell Westbrook is still incredibly athletic. But I'm just saying the way that the fervor with which he plays, the way he attacks the basket. Some of those things that Ja Morant do, as much as we ooh and ah over it, it's not good for his long-term career. It's not good from a longevity standpoint because he's not a guy. Like, for example, Allen Iverson was a pretty durable dude. Ja Morant has missed some games. What have we marveled over? How the Memphis Grizzlies have looked without Ja Morant. We know they're not better without him. We know he's the superstar of that team. We know his value to the team and to the NBA, because I'm sick and tired of seeing them damn Elvis posters in Memphis. They need to put Ja Morant posters up in there, not Elvis, okay? Elvis is dead. Everybody know Elvis is dead. So just let it go. But I will say this.
So harsh when
but
you say
it's
that.
the truth. But I will say
truth.
this. I will say this. Still in all, because of the games we've seen him miss already in his young career, he might want to be careful, because some of those plays that he makes, who knows what level, what ultimately will happen to him health-wise, particularly his knees. When you see a young guy with knee injuries, I get worried, JJ.
I actually do hate to make this comparison between whether it's Derrick Rose, Russell Westbrook, John Wall, like any of these sort of 6'3" and under, highly explosive, attack the rim guards. There has to be, for long-term health, there has to be some sort of evolution to the game. And this is where, like, I think Ja may, and Derrick Rose did this, by the way. He turned himself into a great mid-range shooter. He turned himself into a respectable three-point shooter. Ja shot the ball really well here. He's so reliant on that floater that's his mid-range shot. So if he can sort of continue to rely on that floater and develop as a three-point shooter, then that's the evolution long-term for him.
Long-term, because by the way, just as an aside, you brought up John Wall, because we've had no reason to bring up John Wall whatsoever. Let me say this to John Wall. I know y'all are saying that the Houston Rockets asked you, to sit out or whatever. First of all, they denied that. They wanted you to come off the bench. But secondly, John Wall, even if it's true, at the end of the day, considering the fact that you are a baller and making over $40 million, it would behoove you to make some noise and look a bit uncomfortable about sitting on the bench and not playing when you're fully healthy and ready to go. I want to remind the world John Wall can play some damn ball. So play, damn it. Play.
He needed to get that off his chest. I got to go back to John.
I didn't have John
good.
Wall catching strays today on my bingo card.
No, but I didn't either. But you brought it up.
You brought it
that
up.
was a perfect excuse for me to get in a John Wall, getting paid for
So
not
we
playing.
blame you.
Play, my brother. You're good. Great.
Okay.
Play.
Let's focus on the playoffs. JJ, is this series over regardless of Ja's status?
Okay. No, it's not. I do think the Warriors will win this series, and they'll end up playing the Suns in the conference finals. But there are some things. If you're the Memphis Grizzlies, you're 20-5 in the regular season without Ja Morant. They're better defensively without Ja Morant. If they can get Desmond Bane going, his usage rate, his stats in those 25 games when Ja was out exceeded what his production levels when Ja was in the game. So give some credit to Steph Curry, who's been his primary defender most of this series. Jordan Poole has also been his primary defender for a lot of this series. And those guys have just really limited him. They're better defensively. They believe because they've done it. And you can argue about the quality of those 20 wins in the regular season. I get all that. But they believe they can do it. They can get Bane going, and Ja can come back at some point in this series. I think they can still get to 7 games.
Okay. You danced like Fred Astaire right there, but that's okay. It happens. Let me be very, very clear to you. Series is over. I'm going to say it. Series is over. Memphis Grizzlies, number love for y'all. Y'all the future, okay? Series is over. I don't believe this series is. I don't believe Memphis is winning this series. I didn't believe it to begin with, but let me be more emphatically clear. They ain't winning game 4. And if they ain't winning game 4, you ain't beating Golden State 3 straight. That's why I say it's over. Now, it's still a possibility it could go 6 because I can see you going back to Memphis. I can see Ja Morant down 3-0 coming out there, and showing what Ja can only show, okay? You win game 5. You make things interesting for game 6, all right, for 3 quarters. And then Golden State says, okay, lights out. It's time, okay? And they do what they do. The Golden State Warriors, here's what I get where you're coming from because you want to be cautious about what Memphis can do. My problem is you ain't mentioned what Golden State has been doing. Offensively, where was Memphis defense? Where were they? You talk about Steph, you talk about Clay, you talk about Jordan Poole. Clay had to show up, and he showed up after that APB was out for him after games 1 and 2. Couldn't find him, was looking around all over the damn place. We found Clay Thompson in game 3. We know what Jordan Poole can do. We know what Steph can do. And then we talk about Wiggins and Kuminga coming on the court because you needed somebody now that Gary Payton II is out due to the clothesline from Dylan Brooks. You needed somebody that was a bit long, athletic, that could potentially challenge the Jaws of the world when they got to the rim. You ain't going to stop Ja by any stretch of the imagination, but you can make things a bit more difficult. So I'm thinking about the contribution from a Kuminga. I'm looking at Otto Porter Jr. to go with Steph Clay and Jordan Poole, please. This series is over. They will lose tonight, okay? They will go back to Memphis down 3-1. They'll probably win game 5, and then they're going to come back to the Bay, and it's going to get closed out. That is my belief. Could I be wrong? Sure. But I doubt it. It's over.
Didn't have that confidence about Miami, Philly, I'll tell you that much.
That's fair. That's fair.
We'll leave it there.
Fair. I am a little bit more nervous about Philly with Miami than I am with Golden State.
I just want to.
Okay.
I want to make a point
Sure.
because you brought this up. Game 3 was the most Warriors-esque game.
Yes, on their home
court.
That I think we've seen from them in the playoffs. No.
Because Clay, right?
The first round? Even the first round?
Well,
I saw some of that. First round.
they were playing against one guy.
I'm just telling you, I saw that. You just said you didn't see it until this one. I'm saying I saw it in the first round. I didn't say who was
a lot
the
of guys with low basketball.
I said, okay, I got you, but I saw it.
But this is what they weren't doing in game 1 and 2 in Memphis. We saw the player movement, the ball movement, the quick decisions. They're very hard to guard. And by the way, my first time on the show back in November, the Warriors were 8-1. And you basically said the season was over. So of course I'm not surprised that you're saying the series is over.
I didn't say the season was over. I said the Warriors are coming. They gonna win the chip. And that jury's still out. But they winning this series.
All right.
They winning this series. Okay, I'm telling you that right now. They probably going to fight.
Take that W.
They know I don't feel like. Listen, I love Monty and Chris Paul and all that. They know I don't feel like being in Phoenix with them damn Coyotes. They know that.
Oh, here we go.
Even though the Bay Area is feels like New York, I don't need that either. I mean, I need warm weather, but I'm just saying. It's just
do you need anything else right now? Are you good right now, temperature-wise? You need a drink? You're good? A protein smoothie? Okay, I got a blender in my office.
I have one.
We'll work
Do you? I didn't know that.
I do have a blender.
Oh, damn,
and I
I'm
have
using
protein
that.
powder.
Go ahead,
vegan
Dre. I'm
protein
definitely
powder.
using that.
We'll get that going for you.
What would be sort of your ideal finals, just for you,
Yeah.
for your own comfort, for your own happiness, the 2 cities that you would like to spend time in?
Let me say this to you.
You really need to ask this
the Lakers
question?
already ruined that. Everybody and their mother knows.
I'm saying with these teams. With these teams.
Oh, with these teams. Okay.
The
I was
teams
going to say
still
Lakers,
play.
Miami. I was going to say Lakers, Miami.
Obviously.
But purely from a basketball standpoint, I would tell you this. Golden State, Boston. From a basketball perspective.
Yeah. It's also good for direct flights. All right, still to come on First Take, we have our first taste of Monday Night Football.
Not for fun. What you reppin'? Where you at or where you from? Giannis just pulling with everybody.
As badly as you play, this game is winnable. Milwaukee better start paying attention now.
Ain't nobody that could hold me down. This right here.
The Celtics lead. They were down 14 early in this quarter. Giannis gets the layup.
giving Milwaukee a 1-point lead. Smart puts it up. No! Tip won't go. Another try. Horford, no! He tips it in, but it's afterwards. The game is over.
Saturday, Giannis put on a Herculean performance, 42 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists, his sixth career postseason 40-point game, took game 3, 103-101, a wild finish, fellas. The Celtics failed to convert a pair of attempts to tie the game in the closing seconds. A successful tip from Al Horford came just after the final buzzer sounded. Milwaukee takes a 2-1 series lead over Boston. Game 4 tonight in the Deer District. Jason Tatum shot 4 of 19 from the field in the loss. Okay, what is the bigger concern for Boston, JJ? Is it Giannis or is it Tatum?
The bigger concern is the best basketball player in the world,
Giannis.
and that's Giannis. You know, that to me is the bigger concern. And he talked about this in his post-game conference. Press conference, because they were asking him about the struggles in games 1 and 2, and then this bounce back that he had in game 3. And this is what I love about Giannis. He talked about how much he enjoys failure because he gets to learn and he gets to process and figure it out. Stephen A., that's a winner. That's a growth mindset.
That's a winner.
So he's processing all this in real time. We see the big game 3. You know, Tatum, let's be honest, that's a concern. And a lot of what happened in game 3, he's getting too deep. On those pick and rolls, they're funneling him down. We talked about it after game 1 when Boston was 2 for 15 against Giannis and Brook Lopez as primary defenders from 2-point land. He's got to figure out in this series, what are the best shots to take? That to me is it. What are the best shots to take? His 3 worst shooting games in the playoffs in his career have all come against the Bucks. So clearly, Giannis, Lopez, the size. Let's give a shout out to Wes Matthews. Tatum was 0 for 10. 0 for 10 on Saturday when Wes Matthews guarded him. So it's a concern, but it starts with Giannis. Best player in the world, figuring out that defense in real time. That's scary.
To me, it starts with Tatum.
Okay.
Because I know what I'm getting from Giannis. I know I'm going to get a dominant presence close to the basket. But I also know that I'm going to get a highly subpar shooter from three-point range. He's shooting 2 of 3 from three-point range, 2 of 12, I'm sorry. And a suspect shooter from the free throw line. He shoots 62% from the free throw line. He's going to keep coming and coming and coming because he's relentless, is unstoppable in that regard. We know what we're going to get from Giannis. The Boston Celtics are prepared for that, even though they neutralized him to some degree in terms of his efficiencies in games 1 and 2 before he exploded in game 3. What was the problem? You were still in that position to win game 3. Jason Tatum was nowhere to be found, and you still won. You still lost by 1 point. Marcus Smart, obviously, people can debate that call. You know, he was in motion. I thought that he was shooting the 3.
I thought he was shooting the 3 as well.
He should have went to the free throw line.
That was a bad non-call.
That was a bad non-call, no question
foul.
about it. I think he went to the free throw line, but only 2
Yeah,
shots
right,
instead of 3.
right.
So it wasn't a non-shooting foul. But the point is, it should have been 3 free throws instead of 2. Jason Tatum right now is shooting 35% from the field.
In this series.
That's in the series. That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. We talked about you and how you had elevated, okay, particularly after sweeping KD and Kyrie and the Brooklyn Nets. You were supposed to arrive. There is no Chris Middleton, okay? Even though Giannis has more than serviceable support, because I'm a fan of Bobby Portis. And guess what? Grayson Allen deserves some props too. Pat Connaughton deserves some props. He deserves some props as well.
Holiday,
okay, exactly. I'm talking about Grayson Allen overall, what he did in the first round more so than series. But I'm just saying I believe in the kid, okay? All I'm saying, and Drew Holiday is Drew Holiday. Even though he needed 25, 30 shots to score 25 points, the bottom line is he's going to be a factor. You know what they're going to give you. The question is what you're going to get from Boston. Are you going to get a team that's moving the basketball, that's trusting one another, that shares, that makes sure the spacing is appropriately so, and as a result, you're getting off the kind of quality shots that you want to get? Or are you going to be dribbling the ball too damn much and opening yourself up to be exposed by an opposing defense like the Milwaukee Bucks? This is what we're talking about. And at moments, not entirely, but you'll appreciate what I'm about to say. During moments, we saw the Boston Celtics that looked like the Boston Celtics that started the season. Where just too much dribbling.
Well, we talked about this in December.
We talked about it all the time.
We talked about it in December.
You got to trust one another. Yeah. You got to move the basketball, and you got to create open shots for other people by your ability to move that basketball. They didn't do that enough in Game 3. The Boston Celtics season is on the line tonight. You lose this game if you're the Boston Celtics. You ain't beating Giannis 3 straight. I can assure one of the closest things to a guarantee in basketball is that Giannis ain't losing 3 straight. I know he got swept a couple of years ago. He ain't going through that again. You're not sweeping him. If he figured out a way to beat you 2 games, he'll figure out a way to beat you at least 1 more. You ain't winning 3 straight on Giannis, so you better win tonight. Otherwise, the Boston Celtics are going home.
You have to assume, if you're the Boston Celtics, you have to assume Tatum is going to play better.
Yes,
So
I do assume that.
despite this game that he had in Game 3, you have a chance to win. You're basically a stop away, call it a stop away from winning Game 3 on the road with Giannis having that type of game. So you have to. This is why I say Giannis is more of a concern, because you're saying, well, Tatum shot 4 for 19, and we still almost won. He's not going to do that again. So we got to figure out. They've tried so many different.
Because I'm just saying, Giannis dropped 42, and they won by 1 with Tatum having an awful night. How can you? I'm saying it's a greater assumption. The bigger question mark is Jason Tatum. There's no question mark about what Giannis is going to do.
You think he's going to go for 42 again?
I think Giannis is going to have pretty close to it. I wouldn't. All right, fine. He won't have 42. How about 38 and 20? How about that? Does that suffice?
Well,
he's going to be up there.
You know, I tweeted this out last night.
Okay.
I was thinking about with Giannis specifically and with Luka specifically.
Okay.
Games 1 and 2 in that Dallas series, Luka goes nuts and he doesn't have a big supporting cast. And then, you know, games 3 and 4, he gets a big game from Jalen Brunson. Dorian Finney-Smith has a big game 4. And it made me think back to 2011. We played the Hawks in the first round. The year prior, we had beat the Hawks. I think it was the largest average margin of victory. We swept them 4-0 in the second round. We won every game by 25 or more. And they played defense like they had played all year. They tagged Dwight Howard on the roll. They double him in the post. And we just carved up their defense. So the following year, when we played them in the playoffs, they basically let Dwight go one-on-one. They played all pick and rolls, 2-on-2. They stayed home at our shooters. It completely threw us off their rhythm. They beat us in Game 6.
Okay.
And I think, obviously, Luka is not Dwight. Giannis is not Dwight. Different players. But I do think there's some validity, or at least trying to, like, we're going to put our best defender on this guy. He single-handedly can't beat us. This is basically the strategy the Bucks used in Game 7 last year with Kevin Durant.
Okay. And I'm going back to a very generic position. What you saw from Giannis is not far beyond the pale. You can anticipate something like that is coming your way when Giannis steps on the court against you. You don't expect the Jason Tatum to be 4-19, 0 of 6 from three-point range, finish him with just 10 points. And despite him playing that way and Giannis doing what he did, they won by 1. I'm saying Jason Tatum is the key. Because if Jason Tatum shows up, and I should say Jason and Jalen Brown.
Well, he's the key, but the question was, should the Celtics be more concerned about Tatum or Giannis?
They should be more concerned about him because, again, even though we might not anticipate him doing that, guess what? Just a mere 20 points ain't going to do it for Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum got to step up. You got to step up and be the star we know you can be because you are going against a superstar in Giannis, who's a locomotive. I mean, a legitimate, bona fide basketball version of the personification of a locomotive in basketball parlance. That is Giannis, constantly coming downhill. You got to find a way to offset that with what you bring to the table. Because I know that Udoka's going to do something. Whether you blitz him, get the ball out of his hands, whether you meet him in half court, do whatever it is that you do to stop him from going downhill. Giannis is still going to find a way to get his. Are you going to get yours? That is my question. And Jason Tatum has to answer that call.
It's a valid question. And I'm not saying my logic is right or wrong. And I'm not saying your logic is right or wrong.
Okay.
I'm saying our logics are very different.
Okay.
Our logic thinks.
So who's winning tonight?
Tell me.
Who's winning
and
tonight?
I'm saying my logic is undeniable. iRobot, okay? Will Smith.
Actually,
I'll say
I'm
his
not gonna
name in a
have you
positive
give me
way
the
today.
picks yet.
My logic is undeniable.
Who's
I
winning
am
tonight or
right.
the series?
No. We'll wait. We're going to wait on that. We're going to wait on
I'm
that.
right about that. Jason Tatum got to step up.
Oh, you're right on that.
All right. If I'm Boston, I'm more concerned about him than I am about Giannis. Then step up. You gotta get listen. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown doing what they do. Boston wins this series.
All right.
They
You're
don't
not
do what they're supposed to do.
convincing him.
They lose
Go.
this series.
Okay.
Still to come on first take.
Right.
Down
Logic is
the
undeniable.
stretch,
Logic is
we
undeniable.
come on. We are very fired up as well, Dan Orlovsky. We're excited to have Troy and Joe a part of the team. And for these matchups, Titans, Bills, Vikings, Eagles, you just heard it. Dan O looking clean on a Monday.
Well, he
We got the big guns at ESPN.
He aight. Let me say this, though. Did you notice that Dan Orlovsky and J.J. Redick look like they rocking the same hairdo? Is that just me? I think they look like they rocking the same hairdo. I just want to throw that out. It's not an insult. It's a compliment.
Yeah,
It's a
my name
I need to see
associated
them
with JJ
together.
Redick's is great for me. So I'm pleased with that.
I'm just saying.
True story, though.
Yeah.
And Molly, you know this. I hate JJ Redick. I have to. It's in my blood. I'm not allowed to like him. I think he's amazing.
Because he's
Duke.
Yeah, we don't.
Well, what about people that don't like y'all from UConn?
I embrace it.
I mean, what's up with that?
I
At least
embrace
JJ.
But I actually think everybody does like us.
Well, first of all, well, let me say this to you. I'll tell you what they do like. They like Durham better than Storrs, Connecticut. I'll tell you that much.
Dan, did
they
you
like Durham, North Carolina.
Dan,
I
did you have a
promise
good
you
time
that.
in stores? I had a good time in stores.
I had a great time in store.
Yeah.
Listen,
So, I mean, it was a
I've
good
worked.
time.
I've worked for ESPN since 2003, and I still don't know how to get to stores. Okay, so let's just make sure we're clear
Just
about
go up
that. okay?
84.
Let's just make sure. Whatever. I don't know what you're talking
Like
missing
you're
out.
going to
Let's
Boston.
move on.
You're
all
missing
right?
out.
Yeah.
You're missing out.
Durham, North Carolina. That's a different animal, baby. JJ know what he talking about. Durham, North Carolina's nice.
JJ's great. JJ is
Very
phenomenal on TV. So I will take that association.
My nieces, you know, Chanel and Candace live in that area. Uncle Steve love y'all, baby. But let's go. Just throw that out.
You're ready to go now?
I'm ready to go.
Okay, cool.
I'm ready to go out there.
Talk about him
All
in
right,
the
so
third
Dan-
person. I've been on for 30 seconds. Third
I
person
know.
reference already.
Just
He
give him
has,
love,
but
give
he
him
has
love.
been more calm today, I think, because JJ's on.
Giving love
Yeah.
to giving
He hasn't
love.
been
Uncle Steve
complimenting
giving
himself
love to
as
his
much.
nieces. I'm surprised that you'd have a problem with that. Orlovsky.
Okay.
Uncle
Dan,
Steve.
let's go to football. The last time we saw Josh Allen, he lost an epic shootout with Patrick Mahomes, where he didn't get a chance to respond in overtime. That rule changed. But he really was impressive. Where do you think Josh Allen ranks among the best quarterbacks in the league right now?
Josh Allen is at number one.
Okay.
Now I've got a lot of number ones though. I've got I've got a handful of number ones.
But
Patrick
there can
Mahomes,
only be one number one.
Get on him. Thank you.
No, Dan.
No.
Dan, there can be
is-
multiple elites. There's only one. You're not going to do that on
Get on him,
purpose.
Molly.
Come on.
About
No,
time you got on
there-
somebody else. Get
Patrick
on him,
Mahomes-
Molly. He's
Patrick
being
Mahomes-
inconsistent.
Can I
Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Matthew Stafford, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers.
No,
Those are
you
the five
cannot.
ones.
You can't. No. What is your definition of a one? A one is one person.
I
the
can't
best,
listen, Molly.
numero uno.
I want to put Patrick Mahomes at number one. I can't look at myself in the mirror and not put Josh Allen at number one. I cannot put Matthew Stafford at one. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. Those are the five guys. It's indisputable that you can place somebody ahead of those guys. There's multiple best quarterbacks in the league right now.
Got a smile on his face because he knows he's full of it.
Five.
That's why that smile on his face because he knows he's full of it.
Five.
By the way, could you go over
Matthew
that list? Who's your
Stafford's
top
in there,
five
too.
again? Who's the five again? Who's the five again?
Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Matthew Stafford, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. Shoot, I might put Joe Burrow in there. Now, this would be my caveat, Molly.
Is he confused what number one means? Does he
It-
think we're
this would
asking
be
for
my
best
caveat.
players in the league? Because
Go
that
ahead,
wasn't
go
the
ahead.
question.
Go ahead.
If you had to give me one quarterback to go win one game in one series, I would take Josh Allen. I think he's the most indefensible quarterback in football. That's where I would take Rodgers out and probably put Joe Burrow in.
Okay, a couple of things. Number one, when you talk about how difficult it would be for you to look in the mirror, you should have difficulty looking in the mirror every time you get off a flight and you've had your wife and coach. You shouldn't even be able to look yourself in the mirror off of that
I gave her
alone.
a great Mother's Day yesterday.
What'd you get her?
Over that
What'd
Deserving
you get her?
Mother Day.
What'd you get her?
So this is what we did. Me and a couple of the dads,
Yeah.
we did we planned a surprise. So we had a
Couple
car
of the
come pick up
dads.
the wives as a surprise.
How
Just
cute.
get ready for 11:45. We had
Yeah.
a car come pick them up and then take them to like a lunch brunch. 5 of them together. Had a beautiful day. They were out till sunset essentially. So they had a beautiful Mother's Day celebration, Stephen A.
Y'all think y'all are slick, you and your friends. No, what you wanted to do is you wanted to pass the buck instead of taking responsibility for the whole day, for treating your wife, the mother of your children, with the level of love and deference and focus and individual dedication she deserves. What you did was you sat up there and you got the car service so you didn't have to drive.
Nice.
And then after that, you set up the
Navigator.
lunch so you didn't have to do it. There's a whole bunch of stuff that omitted you from handling or brought the responsibility.
Stephen A., they organized the day. They planned the day.
It was supposed to be him and the wife.
Organized
There was supposed to be some friends.
Dan, I'm
some
impressed.
friends.
I'm impressed.
What the hell is this? What the hell is this? Friends?
No, I'm impressed.
Friends?
Great day.
She had no kids.
let
She got
their
to
hair
enjoy
down, go
herself,
enjoy
be with their
themselves.
girlfriend.
How many of us have them?
They probably went
just
to the
stop it,
spa.
okay? Anyway, let me get back to football.
Wrote her a song.
Just stop it.
No, you did not write her a song.
Just gave
You
it to her.
did?
Yep.
That is so cute. Oh my God, you wrote her a song?
Ladies and gentlemen,
That
I'm
is
gonna move on
adorable.
from the subject. This is embarrassing. Embarrassing.
not.
Just stop it. I mean,
Never had anybody
you're
write- I
jealous,
never
dude.
had
It's
anybody
ridiculous,
write me
Tigress.
anything
It's
like that.
ridiculous.
That's
Okay.
so
Here's the
thoughtful.
let's get back to the football, okay? Let's get back to the football.
Wow.
You didn't think of it.
I love Josh Allen. I love Josh Allen. He's big time. I ain't going with him over Patrick Mahomes yet. Not yet. I mean, you acting like he can do stuff that Patrick Mahomes can't do.
You're
What is
acting
it
like
that-
Patrick Mahomes can do stuff that Josh can't.
No. What I'm saying is we've seen how great Josh Allen is. I believe in the brother. I believe in him. I'm glad he got his money. I'm happy for him. I love that. And I think he's going to win Buffalo a Super Bowl sooner than later. I got all of that. What I'm saying is it is Patrick Mahomes that's a Super Bowl champion. It is Patrick Mahomes that went to back-to-back Super Bowls. It is Patrick Mahomes that went to 4 AFC championship games. And it is Patrick Mahomes who's beaten Josh Allen the last 2 years. How in the hell do you put Josh Allen over Patrick Mahomes where obviously the resume ain't the same and he hasn't knocked off Patrick Mahomes in the postseason yet? What are you talking about?
Two things. You got 2 ears, 1 mouth. I told you that I was placing them both at number 1. I didn't say I was putting Josh Allen over Patrick Mahomes.
You did say if you had one game. Time out. I do have 2 ears, and I do listen. I'm actually marvelous at listening. Shocking the world with this. Here's the deal, Dan Orlovsky.
All that
You
talking
did
gets in
say
the way, though.
you did say that if you had to take one game,
one
one
drive.
game, and somebody to win that one game, you would take Josh Allen because you've seen him do things that nobody else can do. And I'm saying to you, Patrick Mahomes, what is it that Josh Allen can do that Patrick Mahomes can't? What is that?
Be used in the quarterback design run game. And that's where you got yourself in trouble. There are things that Josh Allen can do that Patrick cannot. The Chiefs don't design run plays
That
for
doesn't
Josh.
mean he can't do it, but that means they don't have to.
Not the way that Josh Allen can do it. That's outrageous.
He's done it
to think
enough.
that.
We
No,
haven't
he
seen,
has not.
Hold on. We have not seen Josh Allen scamper for 20 and 30-yard touchdown runs in a playoff game. We haven't seen that before. That's never
I didn't
happened.
say scramble. I said designed quarterback run.
Yeah, I understand that, but the point is, whether it's scrambling or whether it's a design quarterback run, I'm saying when you can run, damn it. You can run. You can't. Ain't gonna be. We know good and damn well Tom Brady can't run. We know that. We knew team. That's the whole point that I'm making.
As what? That if you can scramble and design quarterback runs are the same thing?
No, I'm not
Incorrect.
saying it's the same. I'm saying if you can run, you can run.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
You know what?
I'm placing, I think it's disrespectful to Josh Allen to sit here and say Patrick Mahomes is the number 1 quarterback in the NFL, and it's disrespectful.
Let him earn the damn
to Patrick.
respect.
It's disrespectful to Patrick to say Josh Allen. It's also disrespectful to the dude who won back-to-back MVPs to not put him at 1. It's also disrespectful to the dude who won the Super Bowl.
Excuse me, it's disrespectful that Dan came on First Take and gave us 5 number 1.
How about that?
And didn't
No
give
question.
us an answer.
Josh Allen would
I expect that from other people,
Josh
not you.
Allen, not from me. You better stop that nonsense
said
right now.
other people,
Josh,
not
you
you.
looked
So
at me, damn it. You looked at me.
defensive. You're the
You look
only
at you damn right I'm defensive
You're the
right
only
there.
person
Absolutely,
here.
Tigress. Yes, I am. Rah. The bottom line is this, okay? When you look at it, all right? When you look at it, the bottom line is the bottom line is Josh Allen would tell you himself. Josh Allen would tell you himself. He ain't Patrick Mahomes yet.
Wait, I wanna
hold
get
on,
to
Molly,
something
real
else.
quick. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
okay.
Why did Josh Allen lose to Patrick Mahomes? I can't get over the Tiger.
In the roar.
Why do you
When you wear a shirt like that, that's what it. That's what it.
my
Why
God,
did he
just
lose to
grab
him in the
something from the
playoffs last
closet.
year?
Say
Why
what?
did he lose to him in the playoffs last year?
Well, it wasn't his fault. It's because the defense couldn't stop somebody
And a
in
coin
13
flip.
seconds from getting in full
So
position.
you can't use that in your argument.
I can. They ended up losing the game, man.
Because of a coin flip.
Okay, Dan, you have no argument. You picked like 80 people.
Exactly.
Did you guys see this? I want to bring something up though. The Miami Grand Prix, that little mishap there. Did you see Paolo Banchero from Duke? They thought he was Patrick Mahomes. Did anyone see this?
Oh,
No, I did not.
yeah.
I did not.
The reporter thought it was Patrick.
Yeah.
Wow.
Has anything like that ever happened to you, Dan?
All the time, Molly.
Who do they think you are?
No.
Molly,
Who do they
I
think
will
you are?
constantly get.
Hold on, I want to hear him.
I will constantly get people come up to me and be like this, and be like, especially like an airport or something. They'll be like,
Yeah.
"You look just like Dan Orlovsky," and I'll look at him and be like, "Yeah, guys, there's not a lot of 6'5" white dudes walking around that aren't me." Okay, so sometimes it'll happen in my hometown, like Shelton, Connecticut. People come up and be like, you look just like Dan." Yep, there's just a
what
random
part of
person
Connecticut was that?
walking
He's
around
from the
town.
Valley.
Never heard of it. Never heard of it.
Yeah.
Never heard.
What?
Shelton, he's from the
What?
Valley. Good, hardworking
I'm from the
people
Valley.
in the Valley.
You've never heard of it. You probably are too high class for it. You know, we're type of people who wake up every day, put on our shoes,
I'm not knocking
dance
the
one
town.
leg at a time, and get
I'm
to
not
work.
knocking the town. I love people. I'm
Okay,
about
not
the
the
American
president's
people.
thing again,
I'm about the
Kanye.
American people,
Okay.
my man.
All right, settle
I
down,
love
Ye.
everybody. I
Hold
love
on,
everybody.
Dan, I got to go back to something else. So you wrote a song, and you said a song, not a poem. No, I want to know. I think this is so thoughtful. This is what I want to know. But do you play the guitar or something? Do you sing it to her?
No. I am musically
I'm not making fun of you. I'm being
inclined.
serious.
I found like an app that you can kind of write a song and someone you pay for it, and then a professional musician sings it for you.
Wow.
Wait, maybe Stephen A. is right. You got someone else to sing it for her?
Of course, I'm not gonna sing. I can't sing.
Oh my gosh. But
What
that
would
took a
she
lot
have
of homework.
appreciated more? The effort on your part or the fact that you went to an app to find somebody else to do it for you? I mean, you just get more pathetic with the weeks. I mean, it's unbelievable.
So
it's
you
unbelievable,
think,
man.
You think she
I
wants
think
a
Kobe
song
has to go.
written and sung by me, someone who
Yes.
can't sing, or the thought of writing the song and then
you-
finding someone to sing the song
listen.
so it sounds good?
Hey, listen, my
I
man.
no,
Hey,
I
listen, my
love
man.
I love the writing of the song. I really
Ain't no
do.
loving
Extremely
better than the
thoughtful.
kind you get from your own. You're her husband. You were supposed to do that. You.
Well, he can't.
You.
Okay.
That's
Stephen A.
It's a shame.
I can't wait till
The
next
shame.
Mother's Day when you come on television and talk about I got this car service set up.
I don't reveal. I'm low key.
Yeah.
I'm low key. I move smoothly and low key.
Nothing
That's
about
how
you is smooth.
That's how I'm supposed to.
Except your five.
That's how you're supposed to do it. Well, you know what? It's getting. I
keep hearing
Come to
let's
me when
bump.
y'all get in y'all 50s. Come see me. Come see me. I'm pretty. 54. You damn. Jump back. Want to hit myself. Let's move on.
Okay.
Let's move
Dan, I like it. I like all of it. Even more respect for you now. Still to come on First Take. Did you see Lethal Weapon 3?
Game 3.
The Warriors offense on a tear Saturday night. Their 142 points was their most points in a playoff game in the last 45 years. 116 of those came in the final three quarters, which is the most by any team since the 1990 Celtics, who some of us think they could be playing in the finals. All right, so the Warriors look to go up 3-1 tonight. San Francisco, John Morant listed as doubtful. JJ, are the Warriors playing the best basketball right now? Because you were big on the Suns, I think. Do I remember that correctly?
I've said
Yeah.
for a while
Yeah,
now,
it's
yes, that
okay.
I think the Suns are going to win the
Yes.
Western Conference.
Are
And
you
obviously after this
shifting?
weekend,
Shifting.
you know, you may have some question marks around that, which is fair, Stephen A., which is fair. You know, I think on the surface, the Warriors are playing the best basketball.
Okay.
That's fine.
That's
But
very big of you.
I think about who they played in the first round, and I talked about it earlier. They played a Denver Nuggets team that was, undermanned, playing basically against one great player. And the Nuggets have some guys on their team that aren't particularly, high intellect basketball-wise, and you can't have that against the Warriors and win. This round, the Warriors could easily be down 2-1 in this series if Ja Morant makes the layup. at the buzzer. Okay, so let's just acknowledge that.
Yeah.
But when I look at the Eastern Conference right now and that Bucks-Celtics matchup, that series feels like the most intense, two heavyweights going at it, and it feels like the winner of that series will be as battle-tested as anyone in the playoffs and will have sort of what I think of as like the upper hand going forward and should be considered the favorites. And I think who wins that series wins the East. And by the way, Stephen A., we were talking off air about this. You look at that matchup. Let's say Warriors do win the West, and you get to either Celtics, Warriors, or Bucks, Warriors. I think the Celtics, because they already inherently play that switching defense, they would be that would be a really good matchup for them.
You ever watch that show, Mad Men?
Of course, my favorite television show ever.
All right, I'm glad you brought that up because you look like those dudes. You look like those dudes, and that's not an insult. That's a compliment because you're a good-looking dude.
Is it the hair part?
It's the hair part.
No, him and Dan don't have the same haircut now that I'm seeing him again in person.
But let me say this to you.
No, I grew my fade out. I grew my fade out.
Let me say this to you. I'm bringing that up. And the reason that I'm bringing that up is because I mentioned earlier, like you dancing like Fred Astaire, and that's what the hell you're doing now. They did some dancing in that show occasionally from time to time, and that's what you're doing here. Before I get to my point to show what I'm talking about, let me also say this. Episode Martin, 1994, when Martin was proposing to Gina, and Brian McKnight came out and sang to her. That's what you're supposed to do. If you're going to have somebody sing to your woman,
it's Martin and Gina.
No.
It's a television show.
I'm just saying, that's how you do it.
Dan Orlovsky has resources.
That's how you do it.
He has resources. He doesn't need to go through an app
to
have some random person
what do you guys
sing
think?
Happy Mother's Day.
You think he's going to get Usher to come? Like what?
Dan, I love you, but you're wrong for that. You're wrong for that.
All he had to do was call his boy. I could have made something happen for him. You see, but he didn't use all his resources. That's what JJ talked about. He's supposed to use the resources.
He used his iPhone and he downloaded the app.
It's pathetic. I keep telling you, his wife needs to leave him for a couple of weeks. His wife needs to leave him for a couple of weeks. He'll learn. He's going to learn. He's going to learn, okay? Now let me get back to this. The question is, Warriors playing the best basketball right now, or who's playing the best basketball right now? My answer is the Warriors. See, you dancing around the obvious, okay? It's the Warriors. Boston's been up and down. They ain't playing better than the Warriors. Milwaukee hasn't had.
But look who they're playing, though.
No.
You got to put it
that
in
ain't
context.
What the question is. I do.
Boston could have won that game
Saturday. I am putting in the context, especially knowing I'm gonna sit across from you. I'm gonna make sure I got context because when it comes to contextualizing something, nobody holds people more accountable for not doing that than you. You're worse than me when it comes to that. Okay, so I know that I'm prepared for this. Okay, so you look at Milwaukee. They've been up and down, but we know they're handling their business. Don't get me started with Miami and Philadelphia. You know how that's been. Now we get out west, okay? Is it Memphis? We saw how Memphis struggled with Minnesota, okay? We're looking at Phoenix, okay? We see what's happening with Phoenix. We saw how they struggled against the Pelicans with them young thoroughbreds they got on there, and we saw what happened to them this weekend. We saw Dallas down the first two games, really ran out of Phoenix. In game 2, they come back for game 3 and 4. They're doing what they're doing. Who has been the closest to being a model of consistency in terms of what you see on the floor against them, their style of play, what they do to beat you, et cetera, et cetera? That would happen to be the Golden State Warriors, who, by the way, won the game after Draymond Green was ejected from the game. So let's take all of that into consideration. There is no question. When you consider fluidity, offensive fluidity, movement of the basketball, spacing, perimeter shooting, etc. When you look, and not only that can get to a point where they're playing like piranhas on defense. Who's come the closest to doing that on both sides of the ball on the most consistent basis throughout these playoffs? It has been the Golden State Warriors. Now, that may or may not continue, and we shall find out. But thus far, the team that has been playing the best basketball all around in the postseason has been the Golden State Warriors.
Oh, okay. But you said you were going to provide some context, and when we look at the two teams that I just mentioned,
okay,
the Bucks completely dismantled the Bulls. Bulls couldn't generate a good shot in the half court to save their lives.
Okay.
The Nets could not play with the Celtics. They get swept. They're the only team that didn't win a playoff game in this play. Okay, hold on. And now they're playing each other. Okay? And all of these games outside of a stretch there in game 2, all of these games, these 3 games have been heavyweights going against each other.
But what is Memphis? They're the number 2 overall seed in the NBA. Are they not? Am I making that up?
This is where I'm not. This is not a knock on Memphis because I talk about how great the Memphis jerseys are all the time. But it's very difficult to gauge in real time, and we have to do it for a living. But it's very difficult to gauge in real time when a team is rising for the first time.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Fair
With
enough.
The Celtics, I can say that core group has been to the conference finals twice. The Bucks, I can say that core group has won an NBA championship. Obviously, we know the Warriors, we know the Suns, but to compare the Grizzlies to either of those two teams, I just don't think you can do it yet. Not yet.
You can say that. That's a plausible argument. But where you get tricky is you act like just because your argument is plausible on this end, far be it for it to be plausible on this end, am I not entitled to look at a team that has elevated to the number 2 overall seed in the entire NBA because they had the second best record? Am I not allowed to look at them with a superstar as their leader in Ja Morant and say, excuse me, this is a new day? Am I not allowed to do that? Was Ja Morant the player last year that he is now? I think not. When you look at DeAndre Ayton and how he's evolved, I got to give credit where credit is due. When we see Jordan Poole, was he the player last year that he is now? Was he even in the league last year the way he is now? No. You got a different animal. And what I'm saying is, just like you want to contextualize and point out how Memphis is just getting here, you got to learn how to win. I'm looking at a guy like a Jordan Poole who was busted on the scene and averaging over 25 a game. I can't ignore that. It ain't like he didn't do it in the first round either. So I'm looking at all of these things. I'm taking all of these things into consideration. I appreciate your argument. It's not without merit, but neither is mine. And so I choose to go to the argument that I've been making since the beginning of the season.
Since 9 games.
The first time he's right,
will be.
and it's the front runners, and he can't let it go.
Really? That's what we're doing? That's what we're doing, Miss Stores? That's what we're doing, Miss Stores?
You know
go
it's
ahead.
the truth.
Listen. You should, first of all, you shouldn't even listen to our argument because you try to say Stores is better than Durham. You know better. We all know better. That's what y'all damn trying to say.
First of all,
Stores,
I didn't
Connecticut
say
is better than
Stores
Durham. You know they don't know. They don't know. They don't. God forgive them. They do not know.
I said we had fun at Stores. I said, Dan, did you have fun at Stores? We both went to UConn. He did too. I didn't debate Stores versus Durham, North Carolina. I was talking about it as a college town.
Whatever.
There's like 13,000 people there.
How did Durham, North Carolina come up anyway? So.
I just talked about the Durham, that whole.
Because you guys have the same haircut.
It's a different animal, my man.
He was comparing
he said he
Dan's
can
hair
never
to
like
yours.
you, can never be a fan of you.
Yeah.
And I was like, excuse me, it's better than Stores.
Yes.
I know what I would pick. Let me be very, very clear. I just wasn't good enough, damn it. But I'd love to be in that area, okay?
So I heard the Durham comment. That's when I had to take my earpiece out because I was getting ready for the next show I was on. So I missed that part.
Right.
I apologize.
That's all right. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Duke, Carolina, that whole area, Raleigh, with North Carolina State, special. It's a very, very special area. Very special area in the end of my heart. I just want to say that. We can move.
You have fond memories in so many places.
I want to know the context.
He only has a few fond memories. I feel like I'm hearing about all these memories all the time. All these places. It's just so special.
Not at all. They're not a lot.
So good.
Select
So
few.
What is happening?
Maybe you should write some songs. It was a
I'll write it and I'll sing it. Or I'll get a singer to sing it.
Okay.
Not somebody off an app.
Oh my God. Can I get to this? Boxing?